Coinbase has been quietly stockpiling millions of Cardano's ADA behind the scenes, and when I found out, I did something a little crazy. I set up a mini Cardano farm using 10 old smartphones. I know, that sounds pretty insane, but stick with me here. Right, I've been a curious crypto investor holding ADA since early 2020. I've seen it soar, I've seen it crash, and lately, I'll admit, I kind of felt like Cardano was just drifting quietly into the background. But no big drama, there's no big headlines, just there, right? And some people even started calling it just boring. But then, out of nowhere, I caught wind of a low-key news report that made me do a bit of a double take. It turns out that Coinbase, yes, the huge US exchange, has doubled down on Cardano in a big way, and hardly anyone was actually talking about it. Now that one discovery sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole of research and eventually led me literally to plugging in a whole bunch of phones in my living room as part of an ADA experiment. So, why would Coinbase secretly hoard ADA, and why the heck am I farming ADA on my old phones? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to share this wild story as it's unfolded for me. It starts with a hint of institutional players that might be gearing up for something big with Cardano. It moves through a late night epiphany involving a new crypto project that I stumbled onto, and it ends with a twist that completely changed how I see ADA's future, and my own role within it. Now, I promise, right, this will make, at least it will all make sense, and you're going to want to see how it ends. All right. Let me back up to where it all started. Picture this, it's a typical morning and I'm scrolling through crypto news, expecting the same old, same old. Then I see a headline about Coinbase and Cardano. And it wasn't flashy at all, something about proof of reserves and wrapped ADA, but it hinted that Coinbase was holding a ton of ADA for something called cbADA. Now my eyebrows went up. Coinbase and Cardano in the rather same sentence. You have my attention. So I dug in further. And here is what I found. Coinbase launched a wrapped version of ADA on their Layer 2 network base back in June. And it's called Coinbase Wrapped ADA, the ticker being cbADA. And it basically lets Cardano holders use ADA in Ethereum's DeFi world. Things like Aave, Uniswap, Compound, all of that good stuff that normally lives on Ethereum. It's a pretty cool idea, bridging ecosystems, right? So at launch, they started with around 1.7 million ADAs worth of this kind of cbADA token. Now, here is the thing. Just 4 months later, their proof of reserves data shows that they're now holding 9.56 million ADA to back their cbADA. Now that is a 462% increase in ADA reserves since the summer. So let's put that another way. Coinbase's ADA stash grew over 5-fold. And get this, it actually doubled in the last month of that period. Now that's not a rounding error, that's a major spike. So, when I read that, I nearly fell out of my chair. Coinbase, which is one of the most mainstream crypto companies, quietly accumulated almost 10 million ADA in a matter of just months. Now, if that's not doubling down, I don't know what is. It's kind of like finding out that your quiet, health-conscious friend has been secretly hoarding chocolate bars in their desk. You start thinking, do they know something that I don't? This got me thinking pretty hard. Why is Coinbase so bullish on Cardano all of a sudden? And you know what? There were a few clues. For one, offering cbADA means Coinbase wants ADA holders in the DeFi game on their base network, right? Maybe user demand was pretty huge. ADA holders looking for yield and lending opportunities beyond Cardano's own ecosystem. Or maybe bigger players were asking for it. In fact, some Cardano community members speculated that this growth could signal institutional interest in ADA. Now, I saw a tweet from Cardano-based decentralized exchange account noting the trend, suggesting that big financial players might be loading up on ADA and using Coinbase's wrapped token to do it. They even said that it looks like consensus is forming that ADA is about to explode. Those are their words, about to explode, not mine. So there's faith in ADA, and I guess the vibe's real. And it's not just Coinbase's reserves telling a story. I discovered that ADA is popping up on the radar in other big ways too. You know how everyone's been buzzing about Bitcoin ETFs? Well, quietly, a whole bunch of altcoin ETFs have been filed as well, and Cardano is on the list. Prominent asset managers are basically saying, hey, SEC, we would like to create a Cardano investment fund for the stock market. Grayscale, the big name that did the Bitcoin and Ethereum trusts, even filed for an ADA trust to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Just imagine that. Regular stock market investors could soon buy something tied to ADA. Now, if that gets approved, it's a huge legitimacy boost. And speaking of legitimacy, here's something wild that I learned. Back in March, a US executive order about crypto actually mentioned Cardano by name. The order established a national crypto reserve. And besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, it listed ADA, along with XRP and Solana, as assets that the government would consider holding in reserve. Interesting. Cardano is in the same breath as BTC and ETH as a national reserve asset. So that kind of does blow your mind a bit. It's kind of the thing that I guess almost no one really notices, but it kind of shows up, it shows me anyway, that Cardano has shaken off the afterthought status, I guess. It's on the big stage now, whether the daily price reflects that or not. Now, all of these clues, they started stacking up. Coinbase quietly amassing ADA, institutions wanting ADA ETFs, and Uncle Sam eyeing ADA for reserves. It kind of felt like finding puzzle pieces that were all kind of pointing to one conclusion. Something big is brewing for Cardano. Now, I'm not saying that ADA to the moon tomorrow or anything like that, but you better believe that it reignited my enthusiasm. Now, I've been in ADA for many years, and sometimes you start to wonder, if you're crazy to keep on holding. This was kind of like a jolt reminding me that why I got in to begin with, the vision that ADA could play in the big leagues. So there I was, brimming with excitement and thinking, how do I capitalize on this right now? I had a surge of conviction that I should probably increase my ADA stack if I truly believed all of these developments will pay off someday. Sure, I could have simply hopped onto an exchange and bought some more ADA there and then. And trust me, I was tempted to smash that buy button on my favorite exchange. Okay, here's a quick side note for you guys. If you are looking for a solid exchange yourself, then I've got a few links in the description down below. Blowfin and BitGet are two of the standouts. They're affiliate links, of course, which means that if you do sign up and trade using them, it actually helps support the channel here. I get a small kickback to keep these videos coming. Of course, it costs you nothing extra. It is much appreciated, but there is no pressure to do so. So yes, I was considering buying some ADA outright. It was one of the options I had. But then I thought, what's the fun in just buying more coins? I wanted to do something more creative, something that aligns with crypto's ethos of participation. And that's when a conversation in my Discord community came to mind. By the way, if you haven't joined us on the Discord, we have a free educational server. The link is in the description, and it's a great place to learn and swap ideas with others who are just as crypto obsessed as we are. Anyway, someone there had been talking about this new project called Unity. At first, I half paid attention. The name sounded cool, but I wasn't sure if it was for me. Now, in that post, Coinbase news frenzy, I should say, I remembered Unity and I was like, wait, didn't someone mention that you could earn crypto on your phone or something? And my curiosity was, of course, off the charts at this point. So I dug in to figure out what Unity nodes were all about. And friends, this is where the story goes from big institutional moves to my tiny makeshift little crypto operation at home. Now, Unity Nodes turns out to be a project that lets everyday people like you and I turn our smartphones, these little devices, into a part of a decentralized network, specifically a telecoms network, and you get to earn crypto as a reward for doing it, right? So think of it like turning your phone into a miniature crypto miner or a network node, right? Except instead of crunching crazy hashes for Bitcoin or something, it's actually doing light telecom verification work. And the rewards are paid out in various different cryptocurrencies. You already know where my head went with that one, right? You can get paid in ADA. The answer to that question was yes. Yes, you can. And ADA is one of the supported payout options. So when I read that, I had one of those light bulb moments. So here is the gist of how it works. In plain English, the Unity project has these things called Unity Node NFTs, which you can buy if you want to be an operator. Now, each Unity Node NFT basically licenses you to run up to 200 mobile devices, phones, tablets, whatever, as network nodes. And the phones run the Unity app that does tasks like making test calls, no charge to your phone bill, don't worry, and checking network integrity for a decentralized telecom service. Now, in return, you earn a share of the fees that the telecom carriers pay to Unity for those verification services. So it's kind of like you're helping test and support the cell network with your devices, and you get paid for the help. It's pretty sci-fi, right? Now, as a node operator, I could either run all of those licenses myself on devices that I have, or even lease out some to other people, kind of like renting out mining rigs. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I was interested in actually running some myself to see how it would work. Now, the catch. A Unity Node NFT, it is not necessarily cheap, right? It does cost a few $1,000s, around $5,000, and I decided to take the plunge and purchase one. I know, crazy. I went for it, right? And that one NFT gave me the rights to 200 licenses, basically the ability to connect 200 smartphones. So obviously I don't have 200 phones lying around, nor the desire to max out on day one either. I'm not that crazy yet, right? But if it goes according to plan, you'll see. Anyway, instead, I'm starting with a small experiment. I'm ordered 10 smartphones, right? These are old, secondhand, off eBay Android phones. And I'm going to basically see how this works, right? The ones that people just, they were lying around, they've got cost me like $30, something like that, right? Nothing crazy. Hopefully they'll run this app without any problems. Anyway, I'm going to install the Unity app when it goes live, which is not live yet. I'm going to sign it up all my licenses to these 10 devices. You can see they're all going to be on charge here on the desk. And we're going to see just how good these things are. I'm going to choose ADA as my reward currency in the app settings. So I'm just going to effectively have these 10 little ADA earning machines sitting right here on my desk in my office. And if those 10 work out really well, I'm going to scale that up accordingly. Now, before I go any further, let me slip in a quick but really important disclaimer, because especially since, I just talked about buying a rather expensive NFT and setting up a mini kind of crypto farm right here in my office. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. Now, you should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your own responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is just for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, so we've got that out of the way. Let's get back to the story here. So here I am with 10 phones on their way. I'm going to hook them up to the Unity license operators, or the node license and operator, right? Let me tell you, right, the setup was going, at least it looks on paper, straightforward. The app is going to walk you through how to set all this stuff up, at least according to the documentation. So it should be quite straightforward, and it shouldn't be any kind of fiddling around trying to get this thing to work. It should be pretty intuitive. Once they're all online and active, I'm going to be interested to see how much they do earn, right? Now, it might say something like verifying network integrity, and it might list out all these different kind of test calls that it's doing. It's actually going to be kind of funny to watch all of these little things happen on these phones. Now, one of the phones will light up, I'm sure, and dial up a number, but no actual call costs or anything like that, according to the documentation. It will just be pinging network, and my desk might actually look like a bit like a charging station, maybe in a mall kiosk or something crazy, right? With all of the devices plugged into this charging station. But I think over time, I'm going to potentially build something myself using a 3D printer. So maybe you guys want to see a tutorial on all of that. If you do, then you can let me know in the comments below. My friends might actually just call me completely crazy, and maybe they even want to join me. Who knows, right? Maybe they'll just say that I've completely lost it, right? Maybe they'll just have to laugh it all off and just say that I am crazy. Who knows how all of this is going to go? But for now, of course, I can't tell you what the results are because none of it is actually live. I've got an expensive NFT, I've got licenses, but I don't actually have any kind of application running so that I can't give you any kind of estimated rewards. I can, however, include a link in the description to Unity, and Unity does have a rewards calculator where you can estimate how much you can earn through their application. But of course, remember the disclaimer earlier, you have to do your own research. The link is in the description and you can do your own research there. Anyway, I'm looking to basically take some payment in ADA, and I'm going to basically look to use that ADA as a kind of like a passive income. Now, it's not going to make me rich or anything crazy overnight. I don't imagine it's going to do that. And it's going to be starting small, right? With just 10 smartphones here, it'll be kind of like spare change in ADA. But hey, passive income is passive income. And remember, right, I'm only using 10 out of 200 devices possible to start with. If this trial goes well, then I might just scale this operation up gradually. Maybe we'll turn 10 into 20. Then maybe they'll turn the 20 into 50. And who knows, maybe one day I'll go full mad scientist and have 200 devices here, right? And if the 10 cell phones can earn a little pocket change in ADA, what could 200 do, right? The thought is quite tempting. But one really cool thing I mentioned earlier is that the Unity team did provide a rewards calculator on their website. So you can punch in how many nodes you have, and each node comes with these 200 device licenses, and it will give you an estimate of the potential earnings, right? I've definitely kind of played around with that calculator, daydreaming about what ifs. Now, of course, it is all theoretical. The actual rewards may vary, right? Depending on the demand of the network and how many other devices maybe are doing verification checks here as well, right? I would imagine that spreading out is probably a good idea, right? You want to spread them between lots of different locations, I would have thought. But if you are curious about this, then I've put a link in the description, like I said, so you can check out the Unity rewards calculator and the light paper and do all of your own research, get more details about the project and make your own conclusions, whether I am completely mad and I've lost the plot or whether you think this is a genius move. But that's a decision that only you can make. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor. Just remember, right? They also do slap a disclaimer on their website saying that it is not guaranteed, which is good because nothing in crypto is guaranteed, as we all should know. Now, here is where it gets even more exciting because I need to highlight one more synergy here. Any ADA that I earn from the Unity node experiment isn't going to sit idle. No, I'm a long-term ADA holder and believer in staking. In fact, I run my own Cardano stake pool. It's called Cheek. So my plan is to take all of these Unity earned ADA rewards and delegate them to my stake pool, effectively making the money work twice as hard, right? First, it's earning passively here, and then I'm going to stake it to earn even more ADA passively. It's kind of like passive income feeding into a more passive income, right? And that passive income inception, I'm probably doing my own head in saying passive inception, right? It's just too many times I've said passive income. Anyway, if you hold ADA and you're not staking it, by the way, you should probably really consider doing it, right? It's basically free rewards for supporting the network. And if you're looking to join a pool, and you're welcome to kind of stake with mine, Cheek, right? It's a shameless plug, I know, but it's a great way to make your ADA work for you. And there's no lockup periods. You can stake it and unstake it within 1 minute if you wanted to. So there's no real reason not to stake. So if you're not staking, you need to be staking, in my humble opinion. But that's all it is. I'm not a financial advisor. Just saying that you can earn more ADA by staking your ADA. My motto is every ADA should be doing something, either helping secure the network or earning you a yield. And in an ideal world, you want both. Now, stepping back for a second here, the whole Unity node adventure for me became a personal way to double down on Cardano, just like Coinbase was doubling down in a much larger scale. Now, Coinbase is enabling millions of ADAs to flow into DeFi. And here I'm just enabling my own little fleet of devices to accumulate ADA from a decentralized network service, different methods, same goal, right? Get more ADA and participate deeper in the crypto ecosystem. And honestly, this has been a bit more fun and engaging than I actually had bought a bag of ADA off of the exchange, right? And I would have just bought it, staked it, and called it a day. But no, don't get me wrong here. Holding ADA itself is great, especially if you do stake it with a cheeky pool, right? But actually getting involved in a new network like Unity, tinkering with the technology and actively earning crypto, well, that's more of an experience. It reminds me of why I fell in love with the crypto in the first place, right? It's not just about numbers on a screen. It's actually being part of something bigger, whether it's running a stake pool or turning phones into network nodes. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is all cool, but is it really worth it? What's the end game here? And these are excellent questions. For me, the end game is actually accumulating more ADA and being ready for whatever comes next. Maybe all of these signals, the Coinbase reserves, the spikes, the possible ADA ETFs, the government interest, maybe they all converge and ADA's price reflects that big league status in the next year or so, right? I've heard some people throwing out some pretty wild predictions. I saw someone mention with the upcoming kind of Bitcoin DeFi on Cardano, yes, that is the thing being developed right now. The potential ETFs, ADA could see $10 or more. $10, yeah, that would be absolutely massive. So to put it into perspective, ADA is what, around 80 something cents, maybe 85, 90 cents right now at the point of recording. So $10 would be more than a 10x from here. Do I personally bank on that? Probably not. I'm not holding my breath for a specific number here. I've been around long enough in crypto to not pin my hopes on a single price target, right? But I am confident that if Cardano keeps gaining real traction with institutions and innovative projects, well, the value could trend upwards over time. And if ADA does even a fraction of that kind of growth, then I'm going to be happy to accumulate more when I did. Even if it doesn't explode in price overnight, I've set up my benefits no matter what, right? Or at least set up to benefit no matter what, right? I earn more ADA daily, which I can then stake for even more ADA. It's kind of like a slow and steady snowball, right? And those often turn out surprisingly well in the longer run. Plus, let's be real, right? I kind of geek out on the kind of tech side of this. I know I do, right? I mean, how cool is it that I can contribute to a decentralized telecoms network from my own home? My little ADA farm right here might be humble right now, but it makes me feel like I'm part of this futuristic story where mobile networks and blockchain can intersect. Ultimately, though, here is my takeaway from this whole adventure today, right? When you see quiet signals like Coinbase's ADA stash growing by 462%, you pay attention, right? And sometimes the market doesn't immediately react to these things, but those are the kind of how, at least in the know, I guess, are positioning themselves, right? Coinbase, Grayscale, maybe even governments, they're not making a lot of noise about Cardano, right? But they're clearly preparing for something at the same time. It reminds me that being early often means looking where others are not. Now, in my case, it pushed me to get off of my ass and actually try a new way to engage with Cardano, right? Right here, whether that is, I should say, rather than just kind of sitting around twiddling my thumbs, waiting for the price to move. So, will my crazy smartphone ADA farm make me the next crypto millionaire? I doubt it, right? I'm not going to be completely delusional to be able to say that I'm going to be a millionaire from just one node. But if this goes well, Who's to say that I stop with 200 devices? Why not 400, 600, 800, or 1,000? Maybe I do set up a whole entire operation. You never know, right? But what will I kind of immediately kind of boost my holdings and perhaps give me an edge if ADA truly does take off somewhere down the road? Well, I think things like this is a great way to earn more ADA passively, stake it to earn even more passively, and that is, if the price does well, going to reflect in the long term. So yeah, I think so. And at minimum, right, it's given me a heck of a story to tell and a hands-on education in yet another corner of the blockchain world. So that, to me, is kind of priceless. Now, I'm curious, what do you think about all of this? Did Coinbase's big ADA move surprise you? Do you think projects like Unity are the future of passive crypto income, or is it just another gimmick? Now, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below, or join us in the free Discord server. Now, for me, I'm just happy to kind of at least be re-energized about crypto again, especially with Cardano, and to have a plan that's more exciting than just holding and hoping. So if you've enjoyed coming along on this little Cardano adventure with me, then you can do me a favor by hitting that like button and the subscribe button, because there's always going to be another twist in this crypto journey, and you don't want to miss it. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.